Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the RationalInvestor.com's Daily Brief Recap. Today is Thursday. Thursday is Baby Powder Report Day at TRI. So Julian came on. Actually, great educational material for new aspiring traders. Julian was just on an absolute tear there last fall and winter and just carved the market up. Market state seems to have changed a little bit, and he's kind of cooling his jets right now as setups and stuff just aren't coming in very well right now. Frankly speaking, it doesn't surprise me. But great learning module. I guess you don't know, but I'll tell you now if you don't know. I've been playing this game for so long that a lot of the stuff that I just sort of say matter of fact. I just assume that you people will do these things, trade setups, try to have 3 unrelated reasons in your setups, and try to take appropriate risk management when you're trading your setups. And I think it's actually beneficial. Julian, of course, is a relatively young guy living the life over there in Asia, having fun. And he's also learning how to be a professional trader. So great to hear that, of course, he's up still big money. But nonetheless, he's noticed things, again, a little bit choppy lately. So he's dialing things back, which I respect as a trader. Buy when it snows, sell when it goes. Sometimes there's really easy times to make monies in the market. Usually following January 1st, usually. It doesn't always happen, but usually following January into the new sort of year, and then you start hunting setups and good fundamental ideas, and you pick some stuff up, maybe, midwinter, and, again, buy when it snows kind of stuff. And then ultimately we get into the summer, frothy, silly season. People are feeling optimistic, although 2020 year. Actually, I found out yesterday that actually most Canadians have actually gotten a completely free ride here over the past 6 months. The government's been literally handing out like a couple grand a month to these people, free of charge. It's quite remarkable, really. A function of 2020, big crazy transition years, generational shifts. I guess it doesn't surprise me that in the midst of the fear cycle apex, even these governments are getting fearful. I don't know what the hell to do. It's a bit scary, poor leadership, that kind of stuff. Hey, I don't know, you never know how the hell these damn cycle pivots are going to play themselves out, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's some more craziness here throughout the end of the year. So go slowly. I love the idea of just nibbling good quality names, try and figure out what value is. You don't have to bet the farm here. Now is not the time to take bar stool kind of bet sizes. That's just asking for trouble. At the same time, too, hunt those setups. I got to tell you, a lot of the little nibbles that I've been doing in altcoin land recently, they're just looking beautiful. And, the broader market DeFi names just getting ripped apart. And a lot of these names that have nothing to do with that space, they're just settling into my nice juicy trade locations. And I'm just going cherry picking right now. For you guys, I like to just sort of keep the conversation kind of macro. Don't really get into too much specifics. This is the old deck with it all sort of messy here. I know I put together a nice fresh new one for you so you wouldn't have to deal with all this mess. I just don't know what the hell I did with it. I think it's over here somewhere. Where are we? Here we are. Nice clean charts. U.S. dollar index itself, I think, pulled a little bit of a fast one on the world here this morning, and don't be surprised if you're going to see more and more of this over the course of the next month or two. I still like the idea of us working our way down to 78.6's reload, bottom of reload zones, chaos levels floating out here off of this structural fail level. Earlier in the year, I was thinking that this was some sort of pivot and we'd make this massive fractal. Obviously, that's off the table now. But I will say that just on balance, we should, at any given point in time, think that the US dollar, just even to check the natural trend, should come back to things like 38.2s. You notice, on this is a US dollar index. Like, what the fuck? Now, this is sort of created by TradingView, so I don't know if that's too realistic. But you notice there's even price gaps up in this. Gaps don't like to be left unfilled. There's also even a price gap right up in here as well. So I can't even decide if the US dollar has finished bottoming or whether this is, going to continue on until we actually resolve this 38.2 way up here. So quite literally what that means to me is that this playground on the US dollar is huge, right? I could easily see sweeps down into chaos levels. I could easily see moves up into 38.2s. This is a very, very wide range. And interestingly enough, I don't think enough people that are involved in the trading world even remember how violent and how volatile currency markets can get. I mean, gee whiz, there's a gap on the US dollar way up top there. Back in 79, 80, right? George Soros was famous. Actually, I think it was the early 80s. George Soros was famous for shorting the British pound, and the British pound in like just a very, very short period of time just got absolutely destroyed as they sort of unwound the old story. And, keep in mind, Brexit's still floating out there. But if we go back and just show you what they did to the British pound. Oh, it doesn't even show us. Oh, the bastards. Yeah, one thing I really don't like about these modern sites is, why don't we have the data here going back last century? Come on. What kind of scam is this? So, I mean, I don't know how we do. I suppose we could probably find a CFD. But now I'm just blabbing away here. Why the hell am I doing this? I'm just curious. I just want to show you guys. Let's see if we can find this. Let's see if one of these sites like Oanda has it. Look at that. It's all coordinated. These crooks. I mean, really, it actually doesn't do you any justice as market participants. The fact that these all of these sites and all this shit, it's all coordinated. Like, what the fuck? I mean, did it not exist back here? Like, very frustrating how they do this. Anyway, too bad. Because there's a great story of the British pound back. George Soros broke the Bank of England. That was a great story. Anyway, kind of off topic. Kind of wasting your guys' time. Sorry, everybody. Let's go back to our story about the US dollar index. Actually, it's interesting just zooming out on this. I suppose you could make the argument, we could actually correct a bit more if this thing really does fall apart. But we'll see. For the time being, I'm going to be watching how we act against these lows here. We'll see how it goes. I suppose, like a kind of commentary of breaking the Bank of England. Maybe this go around they're going to break the Fed. I don't know. Tough one. Fear cycle apex. We should see some fireworks here into the end of the year. How violent this gets, I don't know. I suppose if this big honkin' M does confirm and this thing starts cranking down in earnest, we blast through these lows, you might see gold really do some crazy things. Maybe that's how Bitcoin gets up into 100 Gs. Tough one. I wouldn't bet on it, but my sort of prognostication, my thinking is coming into these levels into the end of the year, that would be my pivot. Maybe this looks like, woo-hoo. Who knows? Anyway, nothing really too constructive to add to your day. Unfortunately, sort of more bigger picture, mindless musings. On the day itself, I think we started off with sort of this being a risk-on day. US dollar index was getting beat up here pretty nicely. We saw stock indexes, Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, a lot of the commodities. Gold and gold stocks tried to break out through their bot setup levels. We'll show you that in a minute. But halfway through the morning here, there a big reversal came in here, which I kind of think is maybe a little bit of fun and games by the traders. If we look at something like a daily on this, actually it's hourly, sorry. Let's maybe go like 4 hours. I think you can make the argument that, this high from early August, this high from late July, remember that was our last pivot, that end of July, beginning of August. I get the feeling there's obviously some important price action against these levels. Notice that they're almost exactly the same, and then this level here. So whoever was a US dollar bear, as we're coming into those levels, don't be shocked if you find that those bears step back up to the plate. And then also too, we can do things like this would be, I guess, just not even that long, just even like a 60-day RLZ. Probably a little bit finessing here, but I guess, reload zones against the top end of range. I don't think that kind of price action should surprise us. But at the same time too, I think everybody, we saw the US stock market rally aggressively there yesterday, and it looked like rah, bulls back. And I get the feeling first thing this morning there was a lot of sort of maybe a little too much euphoria. And now they're taking some of that euphoria back. And, we use the same premise here, trying to figure out levels off of the higher time frames. And our rule here should be, how does the 38.2 get resolved? What a surprise. Market came down into 38.2s. This was probably just nothing more than a 50% retracement. Good old WD GAN. Yep, look at that. Almost right on the nose against key support levels. If this is actually a bear, i.e. risk on, then what we should see is, hopefully you can all see this, this looks rather head and shoulders-y. So we've already got now the counter trend rally high against those highs. So really the question here is, do we roll over and break that 50% level? And remember, we said 38.2s were in here, so we're starting to get that resolution of 38.2 fib. My general feeling is that these lows should be tested. It's just normal. Coming up against all these support lines, I think it makes sense why we saw some give back. And off the higher time frame, sort of what is the trend? Ironically enough, trend's still pointing down. People that short this M obviously are coming in very late on a move, maybe a little dangerous. So boom, they wipe out what we call the noob stops just above this high. Notice this M is still intact, so this pattern is still working. So this market is still pointing down until it actually starts Wing out, which should mean that the stock should work their way higher. Gold should work its way higher, bonds should work their way lower, and all that kind of talk. So let's go see if the market is validating that thinking. As we had sort of said, we started out of the gate with a big risk on vote, and you can see stocks were trying to work their way higher. Interestingly enough, oil here just isn't moving an inch. We did have the dead cat bounce in both stocks and oil risk on that sort of pullback in the US dollar index yesterday. But you notice that today we've just stalled here. So I don't know what the market sort of is thinking here. I get the impression that the market's sort of like, okay, you know what? Why don't we just settle into a range? So if that's the case, then maybe we've got ranges established on these major indexes. Interesting how high and how big the range is on that oil market. That looks dangerous. Certainly not a trade. And of course, remember, for us recently, we've been sort of, how do we pick tops in the crude oil market? And remember, we had one short here, failed, another short here, failed, another short here. Okay, we got another short working. And right now, it's off this M top here, and our stop right now should be at scratch, right? We don't want to see a winning trade turn into a losing trade. And ideally, what we would like to see happen is nice counter trend rallies and then go and M out so we can slowly move our stops down on new market structure. So we'll see how that goes. And I did find it interesting that Historically, energy leads everything. You want to see a stock market bottom, and even that bottom that came in May, it came in as soon as energy stopped this nonsense. You see the bottom right in here? As soon as this came in, the whole risk market went right back up. Crypto, everything. So the fact that the oil market really hasn't done anything, this is an inside bar. So if we go through this high here, man, that could be, I wouldn't call that a buy signal. It's just a bullish reading. And of course, we got gaps here. And as we said, if we can work our way all the way back up top here, we'll just walk away at scratch. But my hunch is these gaps here stop this bull. So the point I'm trying to make here is inside bar. Now, actually, we have one of these, and I don't know if oil's going to finish like this, but if it does finish the day like this, we actually have one of our little bull-bear battle lines, right? So if we finish the day here like this, beep, tomorrow's day, we open up and we go through this inside bar of this pattern, that's a sell signal. And if you go down to lower time frames, probably looks like a double top, whatever. If, however, we can hold this range and this becomes an inside bar and beep, tomorrow we go up through this high, that becomes a nice double bottom. Inside bar, back up we go. So ironically enough, if you really want to see who's driving the bus here with risk on, risk off in the short term, I think it has everything to do with this oil market. And really nothing else, which is ironic. You can't say that the tech stocks are cheap. You can't say that. You can say that they are ridiculously expensive. So I don't think it's going to be bargain hunters coming in buying up tech stocks here. I think it's going to be, is the world economy perceived as growing, i.e. they're buying energy, or is the world economy perceived as shrinking and energy prices continue to work their way lower? Interestingly enough, if we like the idea of being gold bugs, then this oil market heading lower is exactly what we want to see. So, I mean, I'm at a bit of a crossroads here. I don't really have a buy signal on the gold just yet. And you can see how the bonds are waging a massive war here. So you can see how the bond market itself is probably watching that oil market like a hawk. And if the bond market sees that oil market has put in the bottom and it reverses, my hunch is the bonds crap out here big time and we start to crank down lower. If, however, that oil market does top out and start to cascade lower, then I think the bonds can work their way up. And, interesting enough, risk on, risk off, you can see how the gold, it wants to press higher here, eh? So the signals haven't come in yet, though. And that's the problem here is you can't front run this. I know it's like, oh, God, got to wait for it. But right now, I think, just like that oil, the bull-bear battle lines, I think you can see the bull-bear battle lines are being drawn in the gold and the oil as well. I don't know idea how this is going to break out, but I'll say I think it's pretty clean cut. I would have liked to have seen a W over here. It would have made me happier. Also, too, I noticed that the silver market, it tried to break to the upside here this morning, and it's kind of floundering a bit. So I think this still needs a little bit more construction, but don't be surprised. If this thing takes off like a rocket here, the bonds start going, the oil craps out, stocks start coming off here, this could really chug in earnest very quickly. And the weird part about it for the gold is you might actually find that the stocks find a bottom, that oil just flounders, and gold takes off here as well. Gold's in a very odd situation because just like 1980, I think that the gold market is going parabolic into this big celestial event. So I'm looking for a top, a bottom in the US dollar over the next 3 to 6 months. I don't think this is investment grade. We all know that the cost of production for gold companies is about $1,000. So basically, gold price is about twice that. Same thing with Bitcoin. I think cost of production is about 5-6 G's, and the price sitting about 10-11 G's, so twice that price. I don't think either of them are value, but I think it's total momentum play here. You want to play momentum? Totally fine. Nothing wrong with that. But just understand, if the shit hits the fan and the momentum rolls over, this stuff could come off pretty hard. It's not today. And the cycle, I don't think, pivots for another 2 or 3 months. Think that big political event down in the United States, it's coming up. But once that event's actually done, then I think actually a lot of this stuff actually puts in its pivots, which, probably into the end of the year. Stock market wise, like I said earlier, small caps, the big stocks, they had a nice rally. Then the US dollar said, whoa, slow down. And everybody's backed off a little bit. The oil's backed off. You can see the small caps. Interestingly enough, the small caps have been kind of on their knees lately, but they're starting to show some life. And of course, these are the risk takers in the stock market. So if these guys start actually behaving happily, or if that's a word, then what you're probably going to find is that our little breadth indicator actually starts turning back up. The broader market. Remember, this is like 2,000, the Russell 2000. This is 2,000 stocks versus the biggest 30 stocks, right? So if this thing's starting to crank up, then it means, hey, risk takers are coming back in on the venture market. And it's kind of funny because I see a lot of little junior crypto names that just look absolutely beautiful. Sort of think venture capital. I was telling Julian through his report here, I think I actually have to go do a trade here. Actually, it hasn't fired yet. But I went and picked up some of this Decred, think venture cap, small, risky part of the market. And gee whiz, I got W's now trying to come in here. I might just go buy some more of this if it breaks that 13.6429. And you can see we're sitting at 13.6157. It's getting awfully close. This Geo, I just love the look of this thing. Not sexy, not in the sweet spot of DeFi part of the market, but wow, that thing looks incredible. Nobody's interested in this whatsoever. Brian off in some tangent. Why the hell is he so interested in that damn Geo? I see a lot of pullbacks like the Dash. It gave us some nice friendly fills. Actually, I did some buying on this Saya, now back down. I've got some bids working down here, so actually I wouldn't mind seeing a little bit more weakness. A lot of the names that we were interested in before, this Power Ledger, I wanted to dip in, and he's responding nicely. This OMG setups, they're firing. So I can see, in a weird sort of way, the venture part of crypto coming back. This Algorand, I had been talking about that through the W. You can see how he popped up there. Kevin's girlfriend, this Ambrosia, she's gone and put in a cute little W, looking like he wants to zip up top, maybe give us our sell half on a double here finally. Please, please, please. So I'm actually seeing some strength come back into venture capital. So in a weird sort of way, actually, this actually is also kind of the same for crypto as well, in a weird sort of way. Lots of these junior sort of, names just slowly chugging along. I happen to have this rail on here. One stock that I absolutely love today, Kavarkanator, was trying to get us interested in it a week or two ago, but it's sort of stocks. So I know a lot of you guys in this public broadcast don't really like stocks, but look at this GIII. Oh my I-ness. Look at that chart. Oh my goodness. Look at all these W's everywhere. So, this is a name I could totally go and buy. Can't buy it today. Sure wish I had listened to that goddamn Kavarkanator guy a few days ago, though. You can see how she just gapped higher here. Don't get in my way. If I did want to participate, I might sprinkle some bids down in reload zones and against this W here. But gee whiz, what a chart. And I see a lot of names that look like this. That's this is just this textbook what we do. So, get out there and have some fun, whether it be stocks, whether it be crypto. It feels as though a lot of the fluffiness that was built into the market ahead of that break has been taken out. Be selective. Trade your setups. Don't take no wooden nickels. All that kind of talk. Heading on over to crypto in particular, it looks like the corn got kind of punched in the nose. Don't really have any buy signals on the corn here. If I was a setup, hunting, if you will, we just made a new low here, so I'd really like to see some sort of W. I don't think this is going to set up a trade for me. You can see MACD momentum is lower. Willie never even did get stupid. The way that I would look at this is I think a dead cat bounce is long overdue here. Probably kiss the underside of this massive head and shoulders. Reload zones, all that kind of fun talk. And maybe in this kind of environment, that's where you get off some half-decent trades in altcoin land, get off some, junior stock trades, that kind of stuff. Thinking more like counter-trend rally, relieve this sort of panic dump low. We were hunting potential bots off of these, but you can see we keep making new lows. We just made another new low here. So at the very best, if I wanted to trend continuation trade this, I got to cool my jets. And you can see we've gone beyond 66% here. So technically the bot actually is bye-bye. Sorry. So right now I would be thinking very much range. Can we range our way back up against the top end of the range here? Actually, interesting. Look how Mountain Man's just going to basically align with that sort of horizontal support and resistance level. So, dead cat bouncy, not bad. Maybe a little bit too much panic, dumpy. Not really any buy signals here, like I said. RSI just sort of swimming around. If anything, really good analogy of our RSI tutorials, where I often tell people if you see a W come in on RSI, then probably best to cool your jets. So you can see a little bit of a W came in there, actually even a couple days ago. So that would be sort of the signal that, hey, if you're a bear, you better just, hop off and just cool down. And then the second W that comes in, I like to color that yellow. This would be your sort of trade W, the second one. So that's working away. The only problem is this second W, the really big trades that develop are the ones that resolve through the 50 line. You can see where is the 50 line. It's up there. So I don't think this is like a big monstrous trade. This is just that, like I said, that counter trend rally, dead cat bounce, that kind of trade. Anyway, so there's your corn update. Doesn't look like we're falling out of bed here today, so that's good. But at the same time, too, that was a new low just 3 trading sessions ago. So, obviously I don't have any buys. Brian and his crazy W's. In altcoin land, and like I said, there's a bunch of names that just look so juicy to me. Well, these are all stocks. Actually, I kept the same thing over there. All I'm just gonna sort of add to this is where the hell did that damn truck go? Where'd it go? Maybe it was over here. Yeah. Nope, that's something totally different. Ooh, look at the bonds just taking off here. Whoa, stockies. Yeah, so it looks like that risk on was a little bit premature there this morning. Okay, what did I do with my matrix? Here we are. So, shit perps. I think we talked about W's. I showed you a bunch of names that look like they were perking up, so you can see that action coming off of this W. Is this a new outright, oh my god, screaming buy? Probably not, right? Probably, if anything, what this is nothing more than just a reload zone test, right? So, reload zone, there it is. And if you draw trend lines off of the peak, again, think sort of counter trend rally into resistance. Can you make money on that kind of move? Sure. Can you find your little altcoin, especially maybe some of those DeFi names, putting in bullish setups that are counter trend rallying in? Probably. There's probably money to be made. Something like this is, I was telling the community today, it's probably something that looks something along the lines of, nope, not that one. This one. So here, this would be a trade in my eyes. So double bottoms within double bottoms. Chaos levels now projecting higher. 38.2s all the way up here. Trend lines just off of these recent peaks. Boobity boo. Where is trendline resistance? Right up in this area. Wicks and tails like to be eaten. Gaps like to be filled in. Blah, 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 blah. You're going to buy your W. You're going to risk to a break of new lows. Can I get at least a 2-to-1 risk-reward ratio trade-off? So this isn't, new bull market. This is just trading setups within the context of a bigger trading range. That's sort of, the kind of market state that I think we're in right now. Okay, I think I'll leave all the rants and raves at that. Sure hope you got some value out of the offering today. Remember, everybody, we've got our new fall term coming up here in our school program. If you'd like some guidance on how to build your small business of trading with the very clear objective to be profitable, to learn the process, to understand all the tools that are required to have sort of in your tool belt to be able to start hunting setups and trade ideas, maybe consider joining our education program. A lot of really just most beautiful comments that I see. Take the education program, best money you ever spent. Learn the process, quit feeding the feeding the market your money. Maybe invest a little bit in yourself first, and then go and risk your money in the marketplace. Love that kind of commentary. This is like playing from a position of strength. We want to try and play from a position of strength in the market and try and minimize anxiety so you can make clear, concise decisions. What's a reasonable risk to take? Right? That's what this is all about. So you've got about little less than a week to get your butt in the school program. And of course, pop on over this site if you'd like to learn a little bit more from our community, people that have actually taken the course and what they think about the course. Also some interviews about, what is a trader's life and what are the kind of things that people take away from this. And a nice detailed overview of what the education programs provide. Fantastic piece. So. Okay, everybody, have yourselves a wonderful rest of your day. All the best, and bye for now.